No, I completely agree. So we'll see what EDG change up this time around, and that is a really interesting first ban.
It is. LGD first ban Corki away from Deft as the first one. Maybe recognizing the frequency of EDG's Corki in Game 2 or something, because they played it quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Deft has a fantastic Corki record. It's actually one of his most played champions alongside Sivir and Jinx. But there's what I expected.
Yep, Kalista ban from EDG like, yep, not going to make that mistake again. Make sure it gets taken away, especially on the red side as we have swapped over here for this second game. LGD taking out Bamey once again. They're going to start taking away the mid laners, starting with Azir.
I mean, red side staple bans, you'd be perfectly fine going Kalista, Ryze, Alistar.
Yep.
And that would pretty much completely change LGD's composition.
Well, there's the Ryze ban out of EDG. Might be listening to you. I mean, you said it, they're all really strong champions, especially in the hands of a player like Imp on something like Kalista. To be honest, you know, I didn't mind Akon's Ryze, sorry, but just kind of was there to add some damage in CC.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the big kind of hinge in turning team fight was when TBQ got the flank, he threw the Glacial Prison, and he forced Deft to the opposite side of the team fight from Imp. And Imp, knowing that there wasn't a threat of a suppression or the Frozen Heart Urgot, just was free hitting, shredding through EDG's tanky members. And we kind of talked about his build path, the fact that he decided to go Hurricane into Bork and how it really empowers his Rend. Well, when you looked at EDG's front line, they pretty much had 4 tanks and a Cassiopeia, and that Rend build was what was allowed him to kind of rip through that front line and turn that into a Baron.
Especially because EDG just didn't have items. Like, sure, if you have a massive Cinderhulk Gragas with, you know, like a Warmogs and a Randuin's and maybe like a Spirit Visage and, you know, your Urgot's really massive, you have like maybe 2 armor items or, you know, the Black Cleaver for extra damage and something like the Frozen Heart already completed. Like, if you have a lot going on, your Maokai's massive as well. Like, you can just brute force tank through a Kalista and it will never be able to do anything because there are too many tanky targets. Even Cassio is relatively tanky with the Seraphs. It just never got to that point.
No, I completely agree. LGD just snowballed too far ahead for EDG's tanky front line to catch up on their resistances. And too many damage threats.
Yeah, oh yeah. And then, of course, Akon. That's where Akon would have shined, swooping in on the Ryze to make sure he adds some magic damage coming in. Yeah, pop briefly out of the lobby. I think maybe a problem with the champion ban or something like that. But we seem to have popped back in. Should be back in the champ select shortly. And I can't imagine these bans changing, especially on the EDG side.
Oh, definitely not on EDG side. I'm curious if their last ban's going to be Alistar, which I definitely think PYL deserves that kind of recognition.
Yeah, I mean, would give him the Nautilus potentially, so some danger there, but Mako's shown a lot of flexibility. So you pop back in, things look like they've almost not changed at all. So again, the same 4 bans to start things off.
I feel like in the current patch and kind of the current form of power picks, anytime you ban Alistar from red side, you're pretty much guaranteed Nautilus in second rotation. As bizarre as that sounds, it pretty much guarantees you Nautilus.
Yeah, Alistar actually banned by LGD, interestingly enough. So
you're not kidding either.
We'll save EDG the trouble of having to ban it, but you're right, EDG might just go ahead and say, all right, guess we're going to ban Nautilus now.
I think they'll ban a jungler.
Oh, that would make sense as well. I feel like you want to give clear love Rek'Sai,
or Victor.
Victor's not a bad ban either. Again, I'm really hesitant to throw mid bans out just because Bamey's champion pool is so small and Godviz is
massive.
Entirely the opposite. Yeah. We'll see. 6 seconds left here for EDG to decide what they want their last ban to be. I saw Aaron shake his head at a suggestion. It is going to be Echo as the last ban, though.
Okay. So now the question is, where do LGD go from here? Obviously, a big priority as far as the LPL is concerned is going to be Victor and Sivir.
Flame's so great. Flashing Riven, because why not? Can I play this? No? Okay, maybe Victor. Seeing what he wants here for his first pick now for the team, but very standardized bans, I think, apart from maybe the Corki ban being a bit different, as LGD are going to lock in Victor as their first pick.
And then that immediately transitions into a Sivir and possibly a Hecarim.
Yeah, Hecarim for Amazing J, I would like that a lot. I guess it depends on Imp's AD
Nautilus
carry.
makes
Nautilus
sense.
may be a bit safer and still good against Imp's carries.
Again, yeah, you're picking up that big second-tier support power pick in the meta right now, and likewise, you open up Amazing J to look for a counter matchup in the top lane.
Also complete in the top lane with the Nautilus as well. Started seeing that in the LPL, so Sivir Nautilus nice and safe here. We've talked a bit about the danger of first picking Sivir, but teams still showing a lot of priority, and Def Sivir is something ridiculous.
Yeah. And one of his most played champions has one of his highest win rates, and you have to think Jinx was running around there at 17-1 for a while there. So Def Sivir is certainly a big power pick.
As you see LGD though, considering their next few picks here, they've already got the Victor, so committed to one solo lane there for Godby, you have to think, unless Flames really going off the rails and deciding to pick something else up. I would love the Rek'Sai pick. It's a good champion for TBQ. Denies it away from Clearlove. These are all strong things, and it is just Rek'Sai Hecarim as the next 2.
Yeah, pretty standard. I mean, we're not seeing anything too out of meta or outlierish right now in this draft phase. This is pretty much priority, counter, priority.
And that's good. I mean, you expect these two teams to have very close drafts and come down more to execution. That was not the case in Game 1. LGD, like you mentioned, greatly outdrafted EDG in the first one here. But again, we've pretty much standardized the bans here. Very common stuff that we're seeing on both sides, with again the exception of that Corki. So it's just a matter of what the teams want to be doing here. And what is honestly a nice and diverse metagame. But I hear that turning your voice as I consider the Janna, but it's going to be Cassiopeia Gragas.
I had to hold my breath. I was like, no, Amazing J, not the Nautilus top. It's such a shame, too, because I brought so many statistics to talk about with Nautilus top, thinking a Luca would play it tonight, and nope, didn't get it.
Not at all here as EDG. I guess keep either their support or their top lane pick ambiguous, depending on where they want to take this particular Nautilus pick, but definitely set the AD carry jungle and mid lane already. So Godvi knows what he's playing against. I guess he already picked in because he took Victor into the matchup. And LGD, considering their next few, they're showing off some fun stuff right now. PYL goes away from Tarek. Imp's going to take Tristana. PYL is going to get Thresh.
Comfort picks across the board pretty much, except really for Flame and his Hecarim. I mean, he's played it a few times, but it isn't his big go-to champion as far as the top lane is concerned. He's much more seen the popularity of Rumble and Gnar.
Yeah, he's been a great Gnar player as well. Even, you know, the
throwbacks to Kennen.
Yes, Smite teleport Shyvana. He played a bit of as well early on in the split. So Flame's been doing Flame things here, but he's going to swap over to Smite here. That should be his summoner spells up in the top side there for his Hecarim that he will be getting. But EDG, looking at their last pick here, 6 seconds left. Mako's flashing Shen of all champions.
Shen has been changed.
All right. It's going to be Shen for Amazing J in the top lane.
Unless it's in support.
I hope not. That's probably not good. There we go.
Elimination is spamming it so looky right now.
Really?
I'm not even joking.
Well, Amazing J is going to take the Shen instead here as we... Yeah, interesting last pick again. EDG, relatively low damage. Not nearly as low damage as the last comp, with Bamey again being the primary threat. But Shen...
Amazing J has been spamming this in solo queue. The only reason I know that is because I wanted to play top lane, and I was like, what is Amazing J doing? Checked up. Oh.
Shen.
He's playing Shen.
Is that exciting for Amazing J fans? We'll have to see here, as Flame is going to take the Hecarim. Amazing J on the Shen for his first play in this split of the LPL. Jungle matchup's going to be pretty standard there on the other side as we move through. It's TBQ on the Rex side and Clearlove back on Gragas.
Not a big fan of Clearlove's Gragas. It doesn't have the same impact and weight as his Nunu and his Rek'Sai will, so I definitely think TBQ got the better matchup here. But this is the important matchup that I want to see go down, because if there was any shining light of EDG's composition last time, it was Bamey and his Cassiopeia.
It was, and he's a big carry, probably the primary carry in this comp here as well. So you rush through Tristana Scylla to an Imp and Deft, and PYL on Thresh versus Mako back on the Nautilus. Again, more of what we expected, I think, in Game 1, honestly. Very standard bans, fairly standard drafts with Amazing J, the only wrench into the mix with the top Shen.
We'll see how he's able to utilize it with their composition right now.
I assume he wants to split push.
That is pretty much the Amazing J special, but likewise it does have a lot of team fight presence and power, especially post level 6 when he has that global ultimate.
You know what? Let's let Amazing J show us how it's done. We're going to get onto the riff for game number 2. And welcome onto the riff for our last game of the evening. LGD taking on EDG, with LGD currently up a game in the best of 2. And Amazing J, he's pulled deep into the Season 1 pockets and has come up with Shen here for this next game.
And I'm glad that you identified that he can possibly look for a split pushing route, because again, he has that, not only the teleport, but also the global ultimate with the teleportation. What am I going to call it? Teleportation shield?
Yeah, you call it its true name.
United.
Yes,
what is it called?
That's it. Stand United.
Stand United.
Yes.
Oh, I was going to be like, stand behind me. I was like, no, that's Braum.
That is Braum. Stand United there, the ulti from Amazing J. As you said, though, Shen has seen a couple of changes recently. So what do you think is prompting players to look at the champion and maybe think about picking him up again?
I believe that the cooldown on his ultimate was decreased first and foremost. I'll have to double check on that one, but that's obviously going to be a big priority there, and especially for how heavy the region is for AD carries.
Yeah, makes sense here. As you can see, Godvi looking around on the Victor, trying to see what he can see here. Did first pick it, so opened up the counter pick. Does go to Bamey's Cassiopeia once again, who did look good in the lane, specifically against Godvi, and had some moments there in the team fights, but just couldn't get it done in the lane, but couldn't get it done in the team fights.
Okay, so Shin, his magic resistance has been changed. More importantly, it's the energy on his shadow dash. So his ability to taunt targets is much easier. And then some quality of life changes to his passive for making his lane phase stronger.
Makes sense. So again, Amazing Day just now on a champion it's a bit smoother to play. Always nice to see top laners come back, or just champions in general rotate back in. When they do, you just get a little bit of love. Flame, though, going to start things off on a camp, takes away the Grump for himself, but actually going to the lane with a couple potions here. Going to be quite low on health to start things off, but does have an experience lead.
This is not super uncommon for Hecarim's. I mean, obviously, it's a little bit risky. There's not going to be a ton of kill pressure that Shin's going to output you early levels.
You sure?
But the thing about Hecarim is that he's more about buying in small quantities as opposed to saving up and buying big items, just because he has his devastating charge, and he uses that mobility to quickly get back and forth between the lanes with ingredients of items as opposed to, I'm saving up for the phage.
Yeah, and that's, I think, especially true of the Smite Hecrims, because you don't see the Trinity Force Rusher so much as, like, kind of piecemeal together the tank items and eventually get that big item third. So Clear Love now going to be taking away his red buff for himself. Started on the blue, now go over to the other side of his jungle, and TBQ doing the same thing, but of course end up on the opposite side as Deft narrowly avoids a hook there, but Imp getting aggressive early on with the Trist.
Not a too difference of a lane between this 2v2 Tristana, Thresh versus Sivir, and Nautilus. Obviously, Deft's going to have a lot of safety there with the spell shield once he has that skilled up.
Clearlove found TBQ. They're trying to find his jungle. Double buffs now as Clearlove's actually going to try and fight TBQ. Scatter Crab advantage, and the tunnel means Clearlove has to give it up, but Deft getting low on the bottom side of the map. Does go down to Imp, who gets the kill. Ignites down, but Imp gets first blood 2v2.
And the reason that happened is because they saw where Clearlove was, and as soon as they had information that the jungler was across map, they immediately went for the aggressive play.
Kind of looking down, I imagine POL was involved with the hook somehow, but it is very rare to see Deft die in a 2v2. He's killed people in that situation, but very rarely does he die.
I mean, not since he's really been in China. Obviously, his reputation on Korea for Samsung Blue, he wasn't known as a great laner. In fact, he would die in lane, but that's really been a change of pace since EDG took MSI, and Deft has really found his confidence in his pairing with Mako.
You can see Godby, though, getting low here. Baby chasing in. Mako in for the all-in. Very close. Just needs to flash E for the kill.
Oh, wow.
It's too deep. He actually takes a tower hit, and Godby barely lives, but Clearlove finds TBQ now. They're going to battle once more, but Bamey's just healthy enough to help Clearlove out. Going to body slam away. Bamey needs to come in, but they're not joining in. TBQ's still chasing in. Now the poison's going to come out, and Rek'Sai will back away.
Bamey didn't have a lot of mana to really help Clearlove there. He was just being there as a numbers advantage, but great call from TBQ to be there for the flank. But here we go. Here's that kill bottom.
So Mako starts things off, but it's the starts going wrong.
Oh, yeah. Straight into the Ignite. It wasn't actually... Oh, there we go. There's the hook. Mako actually flashing to try to dodge, or to try to block the initial CC from the death sentence, but not there in time. So unfortunately, not only do they get the hook as well as the kill, but Mako burned his flash for no reason.
In fact, all 4 summoner spells down for EDG in the bottom lane with just Imp's flash ready there for LGD. So strong 2v2 there from the LGD bottom lane. We don't see Imp that often in a 2v2, but it's nice to see him getting a kill when he is.
And this is a situation that you never want to be in, is Imp finding a snowball on you, especially on that Tristana, because you want to talk about aggressive plays.
Yeah, going back in. Deft now getting caught out. That's forcing the TP out from Amazing J. He actually... What? That was absurd, but PYL still gets hooked. He deserves so much better than that. That play was absolutely ridiculous.
Wow, catching him in the middle of the taunt right there to save Imp's life.
I did not know that was possible until today.
That was crazy.
That was absurd. That was absolutely absurd.
I thought for sure Shin would have higher priority and go through the flay.
Nope. PWL knows better.
Wow.
That was so... I'm so sad he died, because he really deserved to live up to that heroic play, but instead does go down. Actually gives Deft a kill, so the lane going to get even back up a bit, and they are trading blows here in the bottom half of the map. Deft actually has double Doran's Blade, so he is not willing to sit around here and let Imp bully him. Not anymore. Not since the days of Samsung.
You go back, you lose lane, you take double Dorans, and you say, nope, I'm winning the lane.
Yep, and does at least equal it back up, but Imp goes back, and his first buy is impressive. Also, TBQ here as well. POL lining things up. Mako gets in. POL is going to die again by the looks of things. No, not quite enough damage. Deft doesn't have summoners, and he thinks Imp is back. If you could see the minimap, he'd maybe go back in, but he can't know for sure, and he will back away.
PYL almost cost him a life to hold the minion wave for Imp. That said, I mean, hashtag worth. Imp got the cannon.
Yeah, and now has a build water Cutlass as well. So going again, Blade first, but it's not Callista this time. I did compare the two champions last game, but Blade first Tristana is curious.
That's an Imp thing.
It is an Imp thing. Oh, Bamey gets the ulti, and Clearlove's in the area. Chaos Storm already down. Clearlove goes through. Great gank there from Clearlove. Gives Bamey the kill, and Godby does not enough damage for the trade.
I mean, that said, I don't think Clearlove even really needed to be there. Obviously, it helps out and means that Godby can't trade 1-for-1, but Godby face checks straight into Cassiopeia ultimate and just ate so much damage. And this is kind of the scary thing about Cassie, is as soon as she tags you with one of her poisons, it's so easy for her to just walk you down. Now, he does have the ghost, didn't pop it, so...
Smart of Bamey actually to flash ulti, knowing that Godby's flash is down.
That he was going for the, the trade, at best.
Oh.
Or at worst, excuse me.
Well, it was clear they're securing the kill. Does at least give Bamey another lead in the lane here. Tier already built up, starting to stack here, and we can see Bamey's Cassio looking strong in the lane once again as a 10 CS lead.
Bamey's lane phase has looked fantastic. It's his team fight that's been a little bit questionable in comparison to Pawn. I mean, obviously he does a decent, a serviceable job, but you're pretty much playing with one of the best team fighting teams in the world. And that's kind of where the difference is between these two mid laners. And Clearlove said it himself, you know, obviously we don't have the same synergy with Bamey and Amazing J as we do with Coral and Pawn.
And if they can build it though, Bamey's a great player that they can sort of start to add into the roster and have as an additional threat. You already made the Easy Hoon Faker comparison in this series, but Bamey, if he can learn to team fight with some of the world's best team fighters, he'll be just as good, if not better than Pawn, and all of a sudden they'll just have more options.
And he's very much in meta right now. His champions are perfectly suited. So we'll see as if the meta starts to shift more towards assassin picks, if Bamey will start to fall off or his champion pool can expand. I kind of feel like he's in a Xiaohu kind of area a little bit, obviously referring to RNG's mid laner.
Yep.
Now, let's talk about Shen, actually.
Yes, sure. Let's talk about Shen. Obviously the first for Amazing J, looking good in the CS department as well.
So the thing is that Amazing J is level 7 right now, and he is doing a decent job in the lane phase. Obviously, he has a CS discrepancy because he made that play, or attempted to make that play bottom, in which they did manage to kill PYL. Shen has had his lane phase buffed in the most current patch. His passive, which allows him to get the lifesteal back, is actually on a lower cooldown with his levels, so very much how Maokai's passive works. And at level 7, it shortens that cooldown again. So as he starts to get level 7, level 9, level 13, his lane phase will just get that much more oppressive.
And Amazing J actually does go back. Chain Vest there for his item, so perhaps a Sun... Does that work anymore? Sunfire? Yes, it does. Sunfire Cape first there for the Shen, which is, again, another nice throwback for a champion that's been in League for quite a long time.
And it's really just to help him split push. And when you build a Sunfire, you almost have to build it first rotation just because it's very cost inefficient. It's very much about empowering your lane phase. So EDG, the first time around, they tried Amazing...
Oh, Def actually gets ulted there, but Im's going to get the kill instead. Now Mako's going to come down, but the teleport will follow through for Flame. He does cancel it. Mako will get out safely. But Stand United, not enough to stop Imp's onslaught.
Wow. Imp is just going hard in this lane. This looks like classic Samsung White versus Samsung Blue.
It does. Just a different country and some different players here, but Imp still trying to bully. It feels like the bully big brother sometimes, does Imp. Bullying little brother Deft. I actually don't know how their ages work out, but I hope the metaphor's out.
Deft is very young.
That would make sense.
Imp has had a longer playing career.
Okay, here we go. Nailed it. Godby now going to get nailed by Clear.
Oh,
whoa, that kill goes in as the ulti's on, trying to get TBQ. Forced to flash away is the Rek'Sai. But EDG answering aggression in the bottom lane with aggression in the mid lane.
So I was just about to talk about kind of EDG's MO, the fact that, you know, Maokai was played the first game. They tried to fit more of a team fight Koro composition on Amazing J. This time around, going for that Sunfire, looking for the split push. The other thing is, Clearlove is ganking mid lane. He almost, I mean, he ganks for Pawn occasionally, but it's more of like a roaming skirmish, whereas Clearlove's attention is much more dedicated to the bottom side, protecting Deft because he's the hard carry of the team. So this is, we talk about kind of experimentation and teams evolving around the mid-season. This is definitely a very new look from EDG.
It is, and I always wonder where ganking Clearlove goes sometimes, because he does gank, but he seems to go through phases where sometimes it was gank like all day, every day in the game, and sometimes it'll be like, yeah, I'm going to go back and keep farming up. And it doesn't seem to be champion dependent or, you know, game dependent. It just seems like whenever Clearlove feels like murdering people, he just goes ahead and does it.
In China, they call it lightness Clearlove and darkness Clearlove. There's actually like a terminology for exactly what you're describing.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Clearlove this game, sacrificing a bit of farm. You can see 10 CS behind. TBQ there in the jungle, but got some good successful game stuff already, part of 2 of 3 kills.
But it really hasn't translated in terms of a lead for EDG. They are barely holding it on by 200 gold, but that's an easy and quick swing for LGD should a big team fight occur.
Yeah, and they've already got the first dragon, so not available just yet for either team, but actually, sorry, that's EDG looking for that, so that is a nice little lead there for them. Deft again, though, just getting abused by Imp at this point. Even TBQ here, just to try and make things happen, and Def was forced to pop the ultimate. It's not going to last much longer. Imp's already got his Blade of the Ruin King. That is disgusting.
The explosion on the Satchel in Tristana is such an effective trading tool because obviously the range doesn't matter. Like, Sivir can run away from you, but you're running away with that Satchel and the damage is going to proc anyway. And if you stand there and try to compensate the trade for Tristana, you're just going to take more auto attacks onto the E before it procs. So just really showing the strength of this champion in a 2v2. And likewise, her power and speed to push down towers because now that E can proc.
And I'm glad you brought up towers because that's what I'm used to seeing happen with this Tristana pick. PYL actually caught up there. Clearlove goes in. Good Q coming in. The depth charge will follow. Ulti just to bounce him back and gift Def the kill.
Bounce house.
That was great.
Clearlove's been really on point with his Gragas ults.
Clearlove's a great Gragas player. I mean, again, it's not his Rek'Sai. They certainly do different things, but Clearlove is no slouch on the champion. It's Amazing J does have his Sunfire Cape starting to lay into Flame. He honestly can't win trades against this Shen, even with the W up by Spirit of Dread. Amazing J just going to eventually cut through him. It's quite the wet noodle fight. Amazing J's committing. Flame's like, uh-oh, don't like this at all.
Well, the big difference is that obviously Hecarim can use his ultimate to do damage and to help him in that 1v1, whereas Shen can't stand United himself, so technically Flame is bringing more abilities into that top lane as far as the 1v1 is considered. But you saw right there, Flame had the minion wave as well as him being on top of Shin and couldn't win that trade automatically. And this is, again, just the quality of life changes to Shin's passive and the fact that the cooldown and how often it procs has been lowered.
Yeah, good stuff there from Amazing J. And honestly, the Sunfire scales now as well, so Amazing J going to want to soak up those levels. Rank 2 ulti especially, it's a nice cut off that cooldown, but Deft and Mako trying to push on the bottom side of the map. Imp already got the tower in the bottom side, but EDG are going to answer with the same.
LGD in the top side, though, we talked about how it's very common to see the AD carries rotated between 3 lanes and taking structures very quickly to kind of ramp power spikes into the mid game, and that's exactly what Imp's doing.
Yeah, and this is, again, the other thing about Tristana that she can do is really mow down turrets when she has free time. We used to see this. Trist picked into Sivir mainly for fast push. I've never actually seen the 2v2 yet, and I really like that Imp seems to know the matchup and is able to get aggressive against the Sivir as well, because
well, you have to think about it. Tristana has almost just as much pushing power and control over the minion wave as Sivir is going to bring, and then likewise, it's so hard to make a successful trade. Hold on.
Amazing J looking. Shots in. Gets it. Mako dives in as well. Bamey actually flash ultis to ensure the kill, and he picks up Imp for a nice little bounty.
Nice flash taunt. Max range from Amazing J to set that one up. They do burn 2 flashes for it, but hey, they get their red buff back.
Nice stuff there. Yeah, that red buff still a little too far for LGD. EDG are really fighting on LGD's terms. Now happy to brawl with them here, despite Def's sort of hiccups in the early lane, although Imp is starting to ramp up more. He's got an Avarice Blade now to joining that Blade of the Ruin King. So I believe that's a static shiv, but who knows? Could be the Imp Ghost Blade.
This is a pretty common thing, though, from old Tristana taking that Avarice Blade. But hold on, because TBQ, wow, they really just want to fight and skirmish all over the map.
Yeah, and that is that's not the place that EDG always like to play their games, but they have certainly shown in games that they can play this way if they want to.
It's really refreshing to see LGD kind of get their legs back and start synergizing as a team and showing that they can be, again, that big dominant force that they showed in the playoffs.
Yeah, have to agree. They've looked good so far with the first win over against LGD, but you can see the game heating up a bit. EDG still with a lead, but it's very slim, so 200 gold between them. Nothing really to write home about. 16 minutes in. 5-2 up in kills, 1-2 with the turret lead there for LGD. The first dragon, though, for EDG, and the next one's up in about 45 seconds.
The thing that I want to point out, especially as we're setting up for this dragon, and Vision's going to be a big key thing, is this is classic Mako. I always call it a throwback to Mata, because obviously Mata popularized the Moby Rush as opposed to a Sightstone on support's initial back. Mako does this all the time. He gets his Moby boots, and then instead of doing Sightstone and then going into his core itemization as far as like tank stats, he goes into a Ruby Sightstone. And the reason he does this is because he wants to spend so much more time on the field, placing multiple wards as EDG rotate around very quickly with the power of Sivir, as opposed to constantly having to back and refresh his sight zone. So yeah, it doesn't give him more wards because he can only place 3, but it allows him to stay longer and to help set up these skirmishes and flanks.
Well, he's going to have to start setting some vision up because LGD have a complete run on vision right now, especially on the right-hand side of the map. EDG have very defensive vision right now, although might just have a fight breakout.
Oh, wow.
Massive flash body slam, ulti in as well. Godby going to get locked up and go down before Rick in ultimate. Amazing J gets on top of PYL. That's going to be the next kill. And Baby, he's getting everything. That's a double kill for Cassiopeia.
We talked about how with Amazing J picking up Shin, having the Sunfire cape, that he was going to be looking for a split push. Yeah, he's been doing that, but that was a fantastic double lock CC from the Gragas knockup into the Shin taunt. And Amazing J grouping up with the team very early, giving them their first initial big 5v5 and translating it into another dragon.
That was some Spirit-esque Gragas play there from Clearlove, and that is nothing but a compliment there to the junglers. Imp found Amazing J. Actually can kill him here. The Blade of the Ruin King doing work. Explosive charge in there as well. TBQ will miss the knockup, but Amazing J just needs to hold on a bit longer, and he's pretty tanky actually, manages to live there.
LGD trying to make a trade somewhere on the map. Unfortunately doesn't connect for them.
And you can see now, as the items are coming through, that Sunfire done leads into a Spectre's Cal plus the Ninja Tabi there for Amazing J. Archangel's done, moving into Seraph's there for Bamey as well. So he's got a Negatron Cloak coming in for, I have to assume, an Abyssal Scepter. And Deft is still a bit short on items. He's actually, I think, surprisingly behind in gold, but he'll get there eventually on the Sivir. And Bamey, he's doing plenty of work so far. 4-0-1.
Abyssal Scepter, a very common item these days. A thing that we've actually started to see as far as a trend, and I think Dade might have been the trendsetter for this, is a Merc treads into an Abyssal Scepter, because the penetration on the Abyssal Scepter compensates for the fact that you didn't go Sork Shoes. And obviously this is a response to the heavy CC compositions, and the fact that there are so many triple AP or so many magic damage threats on these compositions in the LPL these days.
Yeah, I mean, just looking down the LG lineup, even excluding Victor, there's plenty of mixed damage coming through as well. So
yep.
I like it a lot.
And the fact that if you look across at Nautilus, Gragas, Cassiopeia, that's at least 3 damage threats, as well as the mixed damage on the Sunfire cape. So having that aura of the Abyssal Scepter really also empowers EDG's comp. But
surprisingly, it's the little things that matter, because the item is just so cost efficient.
It's so good right now in the current viability of the meta.
That makes sense as EDG pop their way into the top side. TBQ Void Rush is on top of the blue buff. Godby going to pick that one up, but Deft very quick to rotate around here. Infinity Edge is completed. Avarice Blade ready to vacuum up even more minions, and that's another turret down. EDG rotating nicely there.
That was so cool. When he finished the Abyssal Scepter, it popped up and did a little dance and set back down.
Nice. I think I made the change a while ago, but I don't notice as much as I used to. It is cute. The adorable dancing Abyssal Scepter. That's Gruen's new favorite item.
I thought it was adorable. It's a great item.
It is.
Pro tip, you guys want to start snowballing your ranked 5s? Merc treads Abyssal Scepter on your mid laners.
And then whenever you buy the Abyssal, note how adorable it is.
Yeah, watch it dance.
As Baron's up in 5 seconds. Not quite ready for that just yet, but no dragons being available for a couple more minutes means that EDG, in addition to the mid lane, and they're starting to out-rotate LGD, who have run out of turrets to try and take for EDG. Going to bring it back to all square as far as turrets go, and now find themselves 2,000 gold ahead.
And really, this is on the back of Bamey. We talked about how if there's one solid performance from last game, it was Bamey on his Cassiopeia. Limited champion pool, but really understands the power and how far he can push that pick.
I agree, but Bamey's laning was the big standout here in Game 1, and I think in Game 2 it's been the same here as well. So my question to Bamey is, you have 4 kills and an assist, you got a great start to this game, and you're still leading Godby in CS. Can you be the primary carry for a team once EDG starts team fighting?
I mean, again, he had a really good reputation behind him when he was still in Korea. Obviously, it didn't translate to the LSPL before he came into the LPL, but people expected great things of Bamey, and it's yet to really come into its full. So I guess this is going to be the testing point.
Well, this is at least not a bad game for him to be tested, as he's going to be on a nice hyper carry champion in the Cassio. Kind of looking around, Dragon's still a couple minutes away, so not going to see that just yet. Static Shiv has been completed there for Imp as well, so 2 items moving into a third relatively swiftly. He's got a pickaxe there as well, and Flame has himself a Frozen Heart, so items are starting to come through. But honestly, it's Godby who's unsurprisingly quite far behind.
Does have his Hex Core upgraded 3 times. as well as the Morello. So not an awful place to be for victory. He's going to be able to clear out those waves pretty efficiently. And that's kind of the big thing, is that his wave clear is still very much intact. So it's going to be harder for EDG to continually push in without making at least a pick on him.
Yeah, we've got a very open map here as well, with 6 turrets being down. The outer rings on both sides have fallen, so all of a sudden there's a lot more space to work with here. It can be a bit dangerous for both teams, honestly, to get caught out, because there's good engage tools on both sides.
And I'm glad that you kind of used the word open up of the map, because I feel like this really empowers Sivir. So yeah, Sivir's so strong because she offers siege, wave clear, speed for the mini map rotations and things like that. But as these towers fall down and it's much longer to run back to safety, it really empowers the On the Hunt ultimate.
And you can see EDG's Dragon Control actually been on point this game. They've got 2 up. The second one's going to be, third, sorry, is going to be up in a minute 20. And EDG, they know what the real objective is. It is Baron.
That is a
That is the saddest pink word
unfortunate.
That is a very weird interaction. Unlike the Urgot Ultimate, I cannot explain that one.
Weird.
That is weird. But we'll see what happens. EDG might be able to sweep the spot out. They are, again, getting good aggressive vision down onto Baron. And that seems to be the objective they want to try and take away. It's approaching 25 minutes. Shouldn't be too surprising that EDG are already looking at the big Baron.
They have 4 pink wards in that area.
EDG really like Baron, okay? They really like it. It's their favorite objective. And the fact they have 2 dragons is good. Again, Dragon Control has not been their strongest suit so far. Again, third up in 30 seconds if they want to go for it. But you know that if LGD run for their first, EDG are going straight to Baron.
Have to be very careful that no one is picked right here. Dragon will be spawning in 23 seconds, so we'll see. LGD should get a window where they can move into this Baron pit and clear out a lot of this vision as EDG rotate towards the bottom side of the map for that objective. That said, EDG could also make a play where if LGD commit to the Dragon, they can commit to the Baron, because with the Cassiopeia, you can burn it very quickly.
Yeah, Mana's a bit of an issue there, but especially if Bemi has blue buff, neutrals will fall, and blue is up on the Dragon side of the map for EDG. They are going to walk over to the buff now, and LGD just can't get there in time. It's going to be all over gaming. Third Dragon secured.
What they need to do right now, because there's no way that they can contest this, is that they need to move into the Baron pit and clear out that vision. But unfortunately, they're doing neither.
No, they just can't. They're not even counter-pushing here. Imp actually getting farm on the top side of the map. Bami's going to get blue buff. EDG will rotate themselves over to the Baron pit. And that vision that they want to clear, it's too late now. Def, if he pops his ulti, Billiel's going to die very swiftly.
They had a very small window of opportunity to take advantage, and unfortunately it just didn't connect. So LGD, you know, losing a lot of steam that they had the last game. And I feel like this is really on the back of Clearlove and Bami's performance, which, again, is a different MO than what we've seen from EDG in the past. Normally it's the Deft show.
It is, and Deft has, you know, played fine this game, I think, to this point. The lane did not go the way he wanted to. Absolutely not against Imp, who got multiple kills, I believe, in the lane. They're off to such a great start here, but he's now doing his job. He's still Sivir, adds a lot of utility to the team. Amazing Days down in the bottom side, so you can kind of tell that EDG really prioritizing the top side of the map heavily because they're sending their split push straight to the bottom side. Bami, though, going to get caught out. Good flash will keep him safe. Stands United down as well. Bami gets hooked, though, by PYL, but TBQ's now caught out of position. He gets taunted up. Godfrey goes through. Imp's going to get ulted by Mako. Mako's going to get the kill there as well. And that completely turns around.
Immediately the stand united on Bami. They did force the flash out of Cassiopeia, but with Rek'Sai dead, the worst case scenario for LGD, they easily turn on this Baron.
What did we say? Blue buff Cassiopeia really good at Baron. Def no slouch either. Flame's going to try and steal it,
he
but
doesn't
EDG,
have Onslaught of Shadows though.
Well, that's not helpful. Imp's going to get caught, goes down immediately. Now Mako going to chase in. Good ulti there coming through. Gravity Field actually locking them up. Takes up Mako. Godfrey, though, gets jumped on. Def flashes forward for the kill. Going to be able to take him out, but dies to the Death Ray. Bami's still fighting as Victor got a double flame, though. Going to be the next to fall down. And TBQ's back, but that's basically an ace for EDG.
That looked like disaster, however, for LGD, but they managed to kind of turn it around. Yes, they lost the team fight, but they made sure that EDG couldn't commit to the Baron, and that was entirely on a beautifully placed gravitation field from Godvi. I think he locked up 3 or 4 members of EDG.
Yeah, and then the follow-up Death Ray to get the trade with Deft and really secure the fact that EDG couldn't do the Baron. So they're 4,000 gold up. A winning team fight certainly, as they're still up 12-4 in kills, but it's been all EDG, and let's watch this again.
So immediately Imp dies, isn't able to do any damage, but there's that gravitational field. It locks up Deft, and not only does it lock up 3 members of EDG while they walk through the Chaos Storm, but Deft takes 3 autos from the Baron, and there's the trade you were talking about, the empowered laser, because he's got 3 evolution points. forcing the explosion on the end of that.
Yeah, EDG though managed to get the team fight win. Gonna look to reset back towards Baron, but TBQ quickly to the area, make sure to clear out the pink ward at least. Does have the Scuttle Crab, has Smite, gonna take it away. That's vision EDG would love to have here, but TBQ forced back by Clearlove as he procs the Raptor Sense to take out a ward. And EDG, they know where their priorities are. Amazing J's ulti's back. Time to get to the Baron.
That was best case scenario for LGD right there. Not only were they able to stop the Baron, but they got in and they cleared pretty much all of that vision that EDG are now replacing, taking the Scuttle Crab and things like that.
Jeff from the top side as well. Going to be able to clear out these minions. He's got almost the last switch, so got about half of it there with that pickaxe completed. Avoid stuff though for Baby means that he is doing massive damage right now at the 27-minute mark, and PYL is going to get caught. Clearlove just going to miss out on the kill. The slows down. Oh, good play, but it does still catch on the PYL. The box is down. Imp gets depth charged by Mako, and TBQ's coming into Peel. EDG still running down. It's not quite the fight they wanted. Flame going to come back in. Teleports in. He does have his ulti, moves it, uses it in Godby. Massive ult takes out Depth there with the Q after the auto, and now Baby going to get shredded. The ulti's massive, but a good Cassio ult going to take out Victor. Imp getting chased down. They need to kill him. They do. EDG barely win that team fight. Mako gets hooked back. Clearlove runs back in. PYL might be the next target. They will die for it. Taunt will just miss. And EDG a 2-for-1, but barely.
That looks so scary for EDG. I mean, really, that was on the back of a fantastic Cassiopeia ultimate from Bamey across the majority of LGD's team. And I feel like Victor, despite the fact that he's 3-5-0 right now, is doing absurd amounts of damage in these really closed-up cluster fights, just dropping his AoE across the majority of EDG's lineup.
We talked about it. When Victor gets you in a nice choke point, is able to do damage, he just does far too much damage. And he's got a nice cost-efficient build as well to make sure he can still be relevant despite, as you pointed out, the pretty awful scoreline at this point.
Yeah, going for that Void as opposed to a Ludens or a Death Cap rush on the core right there to make sure that he has a really nice mid-game power spike.
And I like this a lot from Godby. He is a player that likes to bully around and, you know, kill people in lanes. He probably famously killed Dade in Spring by taking the Zed blind into Dade. Is a very cheeky matchup there to sort of taunt Dade and just honestly just destroy him there. That was really when Godby started to become one of the better mid laners in the LPL, and now arguably, like he says at least, the best. But he can still play from behind. He always knows when he's strong, and he uses everything to its maximum efficiency.
When I think about Godby, I don't necessarily consider him the strongest laner. Naturally, Dade's not a great laner as well. It's more about the team fights for those two in particular, and Godby always comes back in team fights and just his team fight positioning, as we see the last two big showdowns.
Flame is going to get the blue buff here, and forced to ulti away though, because he does know that the CC is there. So Gap closes his way out of it, but the Dragon back in 20 seconds, meaning that EDG can look for their fourth, and Baron is up as well. So again, two major objectives up very soon. EDG going to force LGD into, and hopefully for them, another poor choice.
I know, but think of how close these team fights are for the fact that LGD are so far behind in their gold deficit.
They're actually not that far behind.
5K?
5K at 30 minutes in, it could certainly be worse for LGD.
It could be worse.
I think the game really has sort of slowed down here because EDG recognized that element conditions aren't snowballing this gold lead. It's taking these objectives, and they've actually got Siva and one other person, I think it's Bamey, out onto the Dragon. They will get the fourth Dragon here, but EDG are now trying to keep their vision around the Baron, and Imp's going to get the Scuttle Crab by the looks of things.
And naturally that fourth Dragon will just empower an even easier Baron if EDG ever get on top of that. Finally, that pink ward.
I actually like the additional pushing power from Amazing J more than anyone else, but LGD maybe a bit desperate, going to start off this Baron. Amazing J already teleporting in, still has his ultimate, and that's going to force them off the objective.
He's got Flash.
Going in though, finds him though, Clearlove gets on top of him as well. Depth Charge goes in, the Chaos Storm's great in the choke, and Imps got himself over a wall. Deft has to cut away from Flame. Amazing J is dead there to Godby. TBQ gets hooked up next, but Imp still free hitting in the back. Deft flashes over the ridge to take him out, but goes down to Godby. PYL melts though, and EDG are just gonna kill TBQ. But LGD made that so close.
LGD using a fantastic choke point. Again, it's all about these gravitational fields and Victor's just AoE power. I really want to point out, I said that Amazing J had Flash. What did he do? He taunted Flash into the backline and found Imp, forcing him to burn his reposition early.
Oh god, he's got blue buff. It's very scary. Has to cut around the Baron. Clearlove does have his smite, so will secure the objective. Now they're actually going to get the kill. Godvik finds a body slam, almost gets taken up by Clearlove, and will not go. Yep, goes down to Mako.
Nice dodge from Godby right there, made it close. But EDG, they finally end up with the Baron, obviously able to turn on that despite the fact Death was dead because they had Bamey on that Cassiopeia, had the blue buff available to him. So again, that's the power of Cassie when she gets a hold of those monster objectives.
And right now, 31.5 minutes in, 9,000 gold up for EDG with the Baron buff and 4 Dragons with the 5th on the way in about 5 minutes time. EDG in a very strong position to try and close out the game. And I think it's funny about Deft, I agree. Certainly, getting killed there was maybe an issue, but he had to because he really needed to kill him.
These fights are still absurdly close
Yes.
for how far LGD are, and I feel like it's not quite over yet.
No, certainly not here. I mean, again, EDG have lost games in LGD's position in recent weeks, so it's certainly not over till it's over. LGD are a world-class team, and they can still take the game from this point. I think for me, EDG have found such a strong lead. So how they close this game out is a big look at how good their substitute players are. It is so important that in this position, EDG still show dominance and close out clean.
No, I completely agree, and I think it's really a look at Bamey in particular. Amazing J has done a fantastic job, not only going back to his roots and doing his split pushing from his energy pacemaker days, but getting involved in these 5v5s. But Bamey right now, 7-0-9, a perfect game so far.
So far, hasn't died yet. Hopefully that continues for him, but tower is going to fall here, Baron. A little too much pressure there, so LGD cannot defend the first tier 2 turret, actually. EDG only just breaking that turret line, but Amazing J going to be working on the second real quickly.
There's a huge minion wave up top, which means that this is going to be a 3-tower sweep, leaving just the inhibitor line for LGD.
I feel like for the first time as well, at least for Amazing J, this is like the one illustration of why the pushing dragon buffs are actually good. Because he's actually going to get a little bit more efficiency out of his split push.
Yep.
Ooh, ulti actually coming through for Amazing J. Mako's ulted in as well. It's not Imp they found though. Clearlove finds himself in the middle of the team after a great hook from PYL. The tower's dead. They're going to keep going in, and Amazing J so tanky. Finds a 3-man taunt there, gets onto Imp, and Def, he's going so aggressive on top of the Imp, trying to take him out. Does get the kills. Amazing J takes him out. Godby's already dead. Flame dead there as well. LGD completely routed in this last team fight, and EDG closing out strong.
And it looks like it's going to be a 1-1 split for the entire day so far. But again, first place team versus 10th place team. LGD are certainly still an elite member in LPL, but not showing so much in the standings.
No, not yet. 1 point's not going to help that either, but Clearlove looks a little exasperated there after that. Sort of breathes out and says, all right, we won that one, but really wish we had won both.
Kind of a night and day performance between either game, and this has kind of been the MO all night.
Yeah, it has. Just, again, you said it already, this result for the day does leave every single game of this week 1-for-1 here. So, again, teams really showing their best and not worst, I'd say, but, a great and then a not-so-great performance, maybe.
I definitely think showcasing their weaknesses. I feel like a lot of teams have identified kind of where they're weak or where their exposure are, particularly EDG's draft phase. We kind of called question into it. They immediately changed it up, pretty much staple banning the champions that did the most harm to them in the first game, and look at the change of results.
I think just playing standard for EDG, if they're going to use their substitutes, is quite important. Because clearly, things get too carried away sometimes, and Bamey and Amazing J, and maybe that team is just not ready to play Imp's Callista. Like, take it off the board, take the stable champions, play standard, get your players accustomed just to playing with your team and build synergy. Because they're not going to win by, long run, they're not going to win by having crazy Amazing J fizz tops with like Trinity Force Blade of the Ruined King. They're going to win by getting more experience together.
No, I completely agree, and I definitely wanted to point out, just like you said, it's not about, like the crazy fizz top and identifying and opening more play styles for them, but it's, about building that cohesion and that synergy. The fact that Amazing J, he was still doing, the Amazing J split push, having that Sunfire, picking up the Shin, so the first Shin that we've seen in LPL so far this season, but joined up with the big 5v5 and found the flash taunts on Imp pretty much every single time, so working with that team.
He was doing a great job there in the team fights, and with...
I think they'll ban a jungler.
Oh, that would make sense as well. I feel like you want to give Clearlove Rek'Sai,
Or Victor.
Victor's not a bad ban either. Again, I'm really hesitant to throw mid bans out just because Bamey's champion pool is so small and Godby's is
massive.
Entirely the opposite. Yeah. We'll see. 6 seconds left here for EDG to decide what they want their last ban to be. I saw Aaron shake his head at a suggestion. It is going to be Echo as the last ban, though.
Okay. So now the question is, where do LGD go from here? Obviously, a big priority as far as the LPL is concerned is going to be Victor and Sivir.
Flame's so great. Splashing Riven, because why not? Can I play this? No? Okay, maybe Victor? seeing what he wants here for his first pick now for the team. But very standardized bans, I think, apart from maybe the Corky ban being a bit different, as LGD are going to lock in Victor as their first pick.
And then that immediately transitions into a Sivir and possibly a Hecarim.
Yeah, Hecarim for Amazing J, I would like that a lot. I guess it depends on Imp's AD
Nautilus
carry.
makes
Nautilus
sense.
may be a bit safer and still good against Imp's carries.
Again, yeah, you're picking up that big second tier support power pick in the meta right now. And like LGD just snowballed too far ahead for EDG's tanky front line to catch up on their resistances. And too many damage threats.
Yeah, oh yeah. And then, of course, Akon. That's where Akon would have shined, swooping in on the rise to make sure he adds some magic damage coming in. Yeah, pop briefly out of the lobby. I think maybe a problem with the champion ban or something like that. But we seem to have popped back in. Should be back in the champ select shortly. And I can't imagine these bans changing, especially on the EDG side.
Oh, definitely not on EDG side. I'm curious if their last ban's going to be Alistar, which I definitely think PYL deserves that kind of recognition.
Yeah, I mean, would give him the Nautilus potentially, so some danger there, but Mako's shown a lot of flexibility. So you pop back in, things look like they've almost not changed at all. So again, the same 4 bans to start things off.
I feel like in the current patch and kind of the current form of power picks, anytime you ban Alistar from red side, you're pretty much guaranteed Nautilus in second rotation. As bizarre as that sounds, it pretty much guarantees you Nautilus.
Yeah, Alistar actually banned by LGD, interestingly enough. So
You're not getting either.
we'll save EDG the trouble of having to ban it. But you're right, EDG might just go ahead and say, all right, guess we're going to ban Nautilus now.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the big kind of hinge in turning team fight was when TBQ got the flank. He threw the Glacial Prison, and he forced Def to the opposite side of the team fight from Imp. And Imp, knowing that there wasn't a threat of a suppression or the Frozen Heart Urgot, just was free hitting, shredding through EDG's tanky members. And we kind of talked about his build path, the fact that he decided to go Hurricane into Bork and how it really empowers his Rend. Well, when you looked at EDG's front line, they pretty much had 4 tanks and a Cassiopeia, and that Rend build was what was allowed him to kind of rip through that front line and turn that into a Baron.
Especially because EDG just didn't have items. Like, sure, if you have a massive Cinderhulk Gragas with, you know, like a Warmogs and a Randuin's and maybe like a Spirit Visage and, you know, your Urgot's really massive, you have like maybe 2 armor items or, you know, the Black Cleaver for extra damage and something like the Frozen Heart already completed. Like, if you have a lot going on, your Maokai's massive as well. Like, you can just brute force tank through a Callista and it will never be able to do anything because there are too many tanky targets. Even Cassio is relatively tanky with the Seraphs. It just never got to that point.
No, I completely agree. No, I completely agree. So we'll see what EDG change up this time around, and that is a really interesting first ban.
It is. LGD first ban Corky away from Deft as the first one. Maybe recognizing the frequency of EDG's Corky in Game 2 or something, because they played it quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Deft has a fantastic Corky record. It's actually one of his most played champions alongside Sivir and Jinx. But there's what I expected.
Yep, Callista ban from EDG like, yep, not going to make that mistake again. Make sure it gets taken away, especially on the red side as we have swapped over here for this second game. LGD taking out Bamey once again. They're going to start taking away the mid laners, starting with Azir.
I mean, red side staple bans, you'd be perfectly fine going Callista, Ryze, Alistar.
Yep.
And that would pretty much completely change LGD's composition.
Well, there's the Ryze ban out of EDG. Might be listening to you. I mean, you said it, they're all really strong champions, especially in the hands of a player like Imp on something like Callista. To be honest, you know, I didn't mind Akon's Ryze, sorry, but just kind of was there to add some damage in CC.
Otherwise, you open up Amazing J to look for a counter matchup in the top lane.
Also complete in the top lane with the Nautilus as well. Started seeing that in the LPL. So Sivir Nautilus, nice and safe here. We've talked a bit about the danger of first picking Sivir, but teams still showing a lot of priority, and Dev Sivir is something ridiculous.
Yeah. And one of his most played champions has one of his highest win rates, and you have to think Jinx was running around there at 17-1 for a while there. So Def Sivir is certainly a big power pick.
As you see LGD though, considering their next few picks here, they've already got the Victor, so committed to one solo lane there for Godby, you have to think, unless Flames really going off the rails and deciding to pick something else up. I would love the Rek'Sai pick. It's a good champion for TBQ. Denies it away from Clearlove. These are all strong things, and it is just Rek'Sai Hecarim as the next 2.
Yeah, pretty standard. I mean, we're not seeing anything too out of meta or outlierish right now in this draft phase. This is pretty much priority, counter, priority.
And that's good. I mean, you expect these two teams to have very close drafts and come down more to execution. That was not the case in Game 1. LGD, like you mentioned,